You?
Great. I'm great. Thank you. Okay, Gabby. So let's start. Today we have to start the next module, C, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So maybe if you go to your computer, you see that it's unlocked.
Mm, yes.
Right?
Mhm.
Perfect. So today we will start with the first unit, 1.
Mhm.
And what do we have here? We have the grammar that says past continuous with when, okay? Do you remember the past continuous, maybe?
Mm, no, maybe if I see some sentence, but like with the name only, not.
Okay, don't worry.
Mhm.
Yes. For example, maybe you remember the present continuous. So
Mhm.
in past continuous, we have this. I will show you my screen. And we have this. For example, when we talk about continuous, we are talking about, for example, okay, we're going to say continuous. When we talk about continuous, always we have the structure that it is with verb to be and or plus the verb with ing. Okay, always we have this structure. So we have two continuous. Well, we have many continuous. In this part, we will see, for example, in present continuous, maybe you remember this. Okay, for
Mhm.
example, it says, as we are talking about continuous, it says that the most important thing, it is the verb to be and
Mhm.
the ing. So when we talk about present, we're going to talk only, or we're going to change only the verb to be into present. So the verb to be has to be like am, is, or are.
Mhm.
Okay. And when we talk about past continuous, we are talking the verb to be in past, which these are was and were. Okay,
Mhm.
was and were. So this is the past continuous. So what structure do we have in order to make affirmative sentences? We have first of all the subject. Depends on the subject, we have to put the verb to be. First, depends on the subject and
Mhm.
depends on the tense, present continuous or past continuous. Okay, so in this case, if we are using past continuous, we will use was and were.
Mhm.
And after, the verb with ing plus the complement. So, for example, I can say, in past, I was reading a book, okay? So
Mhm.
this is not a continuous or a progressive action because this action I started in the past and maybe I finished in the past, okay? I was reading a book. So for making negative structures, what do we have to do? We only have to put not, right? Not to verb to be. So maybe we could say we weren't playing soccer, for example. Okay. And this question has, or well, this grammar has question form. So for question form, always we have to start with be plus subject and the question mark at the end. For example, were you were you studying for class? Okay, so maybe we could answer with yes. Yes, I was. Or maybe in negative. No, I wasn't. Okay, so this is the past continuous or present continuous. Okay, so now do you remember?
Yes.
Perfect. In this case, we will use the connector or the auxiliary. Oh, well, it is not an auxiliary, sorry. It is a connector. Okay, and when? We're going to use this connector, that means cuando. When we are going to join two sentences. For example, we could join, for example, simple past plus a past continuous. Okay, and we are using these two sentences. So how we are going to separate these ones? We could separate with this connector. When in the middle, so we're gonna separate, okay? For example, I could say, maybe this is the first form where we can start with this. Maybe the other, it is when, for example, we start with present continuous, okay, first. After this, we put when, right? And also we put when, and after when, we put the simple past, okay? Or maybe the third way, it is when we use the connector at the beginning, when, after we have the simple past, and how we're gonna separate with the other tense? By a comma. And past continuous. Okay, so I'm gonna use, for example, the second one. Well, I can say I was dancing when you arrived. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are talking about an action that was in a progress, and we are using this connector in order to show that something or some another action interrupted this action, okay? So we can use in this way. We could use in the first way, for example, I don't know, I went home when, and my action in progress, when she was, I don't know, I went home when she was coming here, for example, okay? So past and progressive. Or maybe if we want to use at the beginning, when you, for example, I don't know, when you were here in past, separated by a comma, I can say, when you were here, we were playing soccer at the park. Okay, so we are using the past, simple past, and past continuous, but always we have to use in one clause, one it has to be past, and the other one has to be continuous. Okay, always. We can have, or maybe for example, we can have this another. We're gonna put it here for where we could have only simple past, maybe with when, okay? And the other could be simple past too, okay? Only in this. Simple past, when, simple past. For example, to actions that started at the same time and finished at the same time. Okay, for example, I cooked dinner when he or maybe when he bought some food, for example. Okay, so maybe we could use these two ones, but they are both in past. Okay, it is possible, and yes, it is possible. Okay, but never we're gonna use two continuous, for example. Okay. Great. So now we will see some examples here in the platform where we're gonna use past continuous and when as a connector and after a simple past. So to interrupt some action, okay? For example, I was getting ready to leave. Past continuous, when you arrived, simple past. Okay, so what does it mean? That my action in progressive started before in the past and it was in a progress. And while it was in a progress, this another action that you arrived happened during this time. Okay. So we could use, it says, well, maybe at the beginning, okay, at the beginning of the sentence, the when, or maybe at the middle, okay? And the middle, for example, well, at the beginning, for example, here, when the phone rang, simple past, and the other clause, the receptionist was leaving, right? So continuous and past. And my when is at the beginning, but I have to separate it by a comma, okay? So we have the other. This is the for structure where we have two simple past in the same sentence. And I am using when at the beginning. When the phone rang, the receptionist left. So it means that both actions finished in the same time, okay? Perfect. So maybe do you have some question until here, Gabby?
No, it's fine.
Perfect. Okay, Gabby. So now, did you take notes about this structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Perfect. So now, let's go to the platform.
Okay.
Okay. So I will assign you this first unit. Okay. Review. Quizzes. Okay. Okay, so this is assigned. If you can upload the page, you can see the exercises.
Okay. Yes.
Let's continue. Perfect. So in this case, what do you have to do? You have the two ways, past and continuous, and you have to guess what happens first and what happens after. Okay, so what does the mean? The first or the second? So let's read it carefully.
Mm. Question. Mm. Mm.
Okay. So the mistake here is in number 2, right? When the light changed, Nick crossed the street. So first the light changed, right? And after Nick crossed. So it was the first, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, there was only one. Perfect. Very good. And now let's go to the second one. There we have here.
Mm.
Okay.
So. Mm. Mm. Mm.
Try to identify, for example, if it has some sense. For example, in number 3, maybe both could be in past because they stopped talking when Tony was entering. So was entering, it's like an action that started before the first action. So it couldn't be in progress. Maybe it is that Tony appeared, so it is in past. So both actions happen at the same time. They stopped talking when Tony entered the room.
Okay.
Yes, so yeah, careful with that.
Jackie made Okay.
Okay, so let's see the answers. Okay, yes.
Wow.
In the second one happens the same, right? For example, the first one is good. So, and the other clause saying hello. So it's a progressive. All the time she was saying hello, 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 hello. Or only she started and she says hello only one time. Right? So it has to be in past because progressive is like all the time saying hello, hello, hello. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, and the other in 4 happens the same. For example, when the file arrived, so the file arrived in that moment. Tony listened to it, or Tony was listening because he couldn't listen. He couldn't listen before in a progress because the file comes after. Right? So it has to be past. And where else? In the 7, it's okay in past continuous, but if we're talking about 2 people, Nick and Jackie, we're talking about
where?
Yes, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's try it again. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Now it's fine.
Very good. Excellent. So now I will share you my screen. Because we will see modals of permission. Okay. So when we talk about these modals of permission, we will talk about some extra auxiliaries that we have in order to talk but only about permissions. For example, I can say my first one, it is may. I could have could and can. Okay, so I'm going to use these 3 ones. So what is the difference between these 3? May, it's a little bit more formal. Could, it's informal. And can, it is informal. Okay, so that is the only difference. So the structures for making permission, it is going to be the next one, the following. The first one, we're going to have the modal at the beginning, after the subject, and after the subject, I have to use verb in base form. Why verb in base form? Because these modal verbs are auxiliaries. So when we have auxiliaries, always we use the verb in base form. And plus the complement. So I can say, may I go out tonight? Okay. May I go out tonight? Okay, so I am asking this for permission. For example, here we can have these 3. May I speak to someone at Kicks? Could I speak to someone at Kicks? Can I speak to someone at Kicks? So I can use the same with the 3, okay? It is not difference if I use one or another. The only difference is about the formal and informal way, okay? Nothing else. So what else? if I want to make it polite, a little bit more polite this, I will use the word please. But where do I have to use this word? I will use please, and after I can put the verb, okay? The verb. Okay, so for example here, if I wanted to make it a little bit more polite, I can use first please and after the verb, okay? So, for example, may I please go out tonight? So if I put this please, the sentence is more polite, okay? Nothing else. So this is the only thing. Well, we're gonna put it. Ouch, what happened here? Oh. Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, but you're taking notes, really?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Don't worry.
Please plus verb, okay? So this is in order to make it a little bit more polite. May I speak to someone at Kicks? Or may I please speak to someone at Kicks? Okay, so other way to make it a little bit more polite. Okay, well, after this, how can I answer to these questions? For example, I please go out tonight. My answers are going to be like yes, sure, certainly, of course, go ahead. So these are for affirmative permissions, okay? So could I ask you a question? Sure. Could I look at the directory? Yes, of course you can. Always we are going to use, if I want to use can, for example, you may, if I use could in one of my questions, never I will answer with could. I will answer with can, okay? Because could is like a probability, podría, but can, it's more possible. Yes, of course you can, tú puedes, right? So that is the only thing with this. And of course, when we talk about a little bit, or no a little bit, 100% of polite permissions, okay, but this is 100% of polite, okay, we use do you mind? Do you mind if? Okay, do you mind if it is the 100% of permission? And it means, what does it mean? Importaría sí. Okay, so for example, if I want to make 100% of polite information, do you mind if I go with you? Okay, so this is like a permission, but it is extremely polite. Okay, so
in this case, I'm sorry. In this case, do you mind? You don't use the words exactly like may, could, or can.
No. So this is the same as using may, could, or can. Okay. So we use these ones. And of course, as this is the 100% of polite, we don't use yes, sure, certainly, of course, and go ahead as an answer. We are going to have our only affirmative answer, that it's going to be not at all. Okay, affirmative answer. So always, if somebody asks me with do you mind, I always am going to answer with not at all, Okay? But if somebody asks me with may, sure, certainly, of course, okay? But what happens if I don't want to make permission? Okay, if I don't want to make permission, well, here we have, for example, do you mind if I look at that? Not at all. Have a look. Okay, but always not at all. Okay, always not at all. But for example, if I don't want to make that permission, if my answer is in negative, I could say no, or maybe I could say sorry, but I have to give the reason, okay? Always I have to give the reason. For example, may I speak to someone else at Kicks? Sorry, Nick, but there's no Kicks here either. Okay, for example, may I please go out tonight? Sorry, but you have a lot of homework, for example. Okay, so always giving the reason. Okay, so maybe do you have some question about these modals?
No, it's clear.
Perfect. Okay, Gabby, so now let's go to the platform and let's do these modals of permission. Okay. Yep. Permission one. Okay. Okay. So let's see the answers. Perfect. Very good.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Perfect. Any mistake. Very good.
Okay.
Great. So now, do you have some question until here, Gabby?
No, it was clear.
Perfect. Okay, Gabby. So on Monday, we will continue with the last grammar for this unit, okay? Comparison with as. So today we will finish here. And don't forget to do some of your quizzes or your tasks that you have, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great, Gabby. So, have you done some of the tasks?
Yes, all of the B3.
Yeah.
and some of the before.
Okay.
And well, the quizzes as the last week, I prefer to do it in the weekend because I feel fresh
Okay.
and I can do it good. But that's
Great.
yes, I'm going to do the others that I have tonight. But the quizzes, yes, maybe tomorrow or in
Okay.
Sunday.
Okay, Gabby, don't worry. But don't forget to take a picture and send me, okay?
Okay.
Great, Gabby. Don't worry. Okay, so maybe if you have some questions, I'm gonna be able on weekend to ask me, okay?
Okay, fine.
Hi, Gabby. See you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye-bye.